For my presentation, I did soybeans, and I tasted bean curd vegetable soup. Tofu is originally from China. Soybeans were considered one of the 5 sacred grains. This means that they were dried before they were cooked, making almost the same kind of tofu that is most popular today. China also has long time seen tofu as a food that promotes long life and good health. In the Sung dynasty, tofu was cheaper than meat at the market and mostly eaten by lower class only. Later, though, in the Dung dynasty, tofu was listed on a menu served to the princes. Tofu also later became a key protein source for Japanese Buddhist monks who did not eat meat and were strictly on a vegetarian diet. Throughout China's dynasties, tofu became a staple food. Tofu in Japan also skyrocketed throughout the years, especially during the World Wars once more modern technology was introduced. The first American to mention tofu was by Trimble in 1896 in one of his journals. By the 1950s, tofu was scattered around in various different Chinatowns all over America, only really known by Chinese and Japanese people. Soon, dairy products and production skyrocketed, which left tofu as virtually unknown. Once the younger generations became more interested in other cultures, though, tofu became just as popular as it is today in America. This is the nutrient composition of bean curd vegetable soup. This is per serving, and the total servings is 4. It has 158 calories, 4.1 grams of fat, 21.6 grams of carbs, 9.1 grams of protein, 3.4 grams of fiber, and 640.7 milligrams of sodium. It has a lot of sodium because of the miso soup that is pretty much the main broth, and all of the protein is strictly from the tofu. This is the relationship to diseases of soybeans. There has been a lot of debate over the years of how soybeans overall affect human health due to its intricate effects on the body. There's been a lot of debate between scientists about if it's good or bad. I read a decent amount of research about how it affects diseases, and they're actually beneficial to preventing diseases such as certain cancers like breast cancer and prostate cancer, and they're beneficial for preventing heart diseases, and they also help cognitive functions and your memory functions. This is the quality of tofu. The best way to know if tofu is a good quality is to make sure that it has elasticity and is not chalky. Good tofu is very white and smells fresh. If there's any discoloration or sour odor, then the tofu has gone bad. Quality tofu is springier and chewier. Tofu normally stays good for 3 to 5 days after the date stamped on the package. Tofu also spoils way quicker in the heat, so it's much more popular in the winter. The agriculture of soybeans. You are supposed to sow soybeans 2 to 3 weeks after the last frost date. Soybean harvest starts in September and ends around the end of October. America is one of the top countries in soy production, so availability and demand are both high. Soybeans are also America's #1 export. The U.S. works hard to make soybean production sustainable by conserving water, using crop rotation, less pesticides, and working to reduce soil erosion, greenhouse gas emissions, and land use impact percentages. The preparation of tofu. Bean curd vegetable soup consists of a miso soup broth, vegetables, and tofu. This is a simple recipe. In a large saucepan over medium heat, combine water, doenjang, garlic paste, dashi, and gochujang. Bring to a boil and let boil 2 minutes. Stir in zucchini, potato, mushrooms, and onions, and let boil 5 to 7 minutes more. Stir in tofu and cook until tofu has expanded and the vegetables are tender, and then I have the rest of the recipe listed below. I tried tofu in a bean curd vegetable soup from a local Chinese restaurant in my hometown that's called Great Wall of China. I tried the tofu alone, and I thought that it was a little bland and somehow a bit meaty. Eating it with the broth, though, made the tofu a lot sweeter. I actually really enjoyed the soup altogether, and I never thought that I would ever like tofu. Tofu is eaten around the world in many ways, but traditionally in China, tofu is close to a pudding texture and eaten as a hot dessert. And then this is a photo of the bean curd vegetable soup, and the little cubes in the middle that are tan are the tofu. Tofu is traditionally eaten in Asian cuisine and cultures, so it was never introduced to me growing up. I had heard of it over the years, but I had never tried it. I never really thought that I would enjoy tofu. Tofu was first introduced to America in the early 1900s. It was mainly popular for people with Chinese or Japanese background, so Americans did not spread it as well. It is much more available today, but since it is not a part of my culture, my family never showed it to me. Many Chinese and Japanese families, on the other hand, treat tofu as an everyday food. And then this is my reference sheet. Thank you.